I'm trying to get my phone to say stay here. If you're watching the live stream after the fact, then you might want to, I don't know. We really get into questions when people join. So this first part is going to be me eating and trying to get my phone on this thing, apparently. Let's see. There we go. There it is. All right. So I have a little, yeah. So here we are, sitting in the car, doing an Ask Anything lunch live stream because don't have a lot of time outside of that. Please forgive me for eating while filming. I guess I can eat over here. I hope you guys are doing well. Yeah. What do you guys want to talk about today? We can talk about, I don't know. Good morning. I guess I have notifications. Thanks, Paul. What's my position on the schismatic OCU? Old calendar? Is that what OCU is? Hey, Zach, thanks for joining. I mean, schismatic, right? OCU? Is it OCU, the old calendar thing? Or am I thinking of something different? Oh, Orthodox Church of Ukraine. Oh. Wait a second. Isn't that a, is that a leading question? Did they accept Ukraine? I don't really know. I don't really know much about it, to be honest with you. Do you think you can take Orthodoxy too seriously? I feel like I'm an extremist. People say I act too serious about not celebrating Halloween and other things. You can never be too careful. That being the case, people can take things to extremes. Just like with anything, Orthodoxy is one of these tightropes that we have to walk in life. And it's everything from how we talk about it to how we practice it. So it's certainly possible, but I mean, ask your priest. Mocking. Okay, so that's great. Listen to Father Andrew Damick and Father Stephen DeYoung on Halloween. Yeah, that's good. Burrito is way too messy to eat on stream. I apologize. Lord of Spirits. I haven't listened to all of those, but they're good podcasts from what I've heard. And those are two very good priests. So, for what it's worth. This was an oversight. So what are you guys doing today? How are you doing? If we don't have questions or thoughts, we can at least say hello. Hey, Jared. Good to see you again. Romans 9, of course, the famous passage about election. Calvinism uses this passage to prove that God chooses arbitrarily people to to go to hell or to go to heaven. This viewpoint was refuted prior to it even coming into the mainstream with Calvin and others by John Chrysostom in his commentary on Romans 9. And essentially, Romans 9 is talking about nations. It's not talking about individuals. And that's the big mistake of people that take it to prove Calvinism. Significantly less viewers when I'm actually eating. So maybe next time I'll have to eat my food and then go live. I get it though. Oops. I just hid the live stream, the chat. Yeah, Born to Hate, Reborn to Love is a good book. A crazy story there. The guy met Mother Teresa. Like, it's amazing. Eventually became a Christian out of the occult. Like Hinduism, Buddhism. He tried everything. So go ahead and jump in. Have a question, have a thought. Or if you want to support, hit that join button, $2 a month on YouTube, or you can join the Patreon linked in the description to support the channel. Also have a Discord server, also linked in the description. John, they're all out of questions, man. No, you're good. Let's see here. Yeah, just come hang out. This is getting spicy, this burrito. I'm keeping an eye on the chat, but I'm trying not to eat too much in front of the Afterglow live after I finish eating next time. I'm just waiting for a question or a thought. Boundaries of the church. This hot topic, boundaries of the church. This relates to how we receive those outside of the church into the church. If you look at the video on rebaptism, you might see something there. We wrote a big article about that. But as far as boundaries of the church specifically, I don't really have anything touching on that. How we're supposed to treat heterodox. I just created a YouTube short that sort of talks about that. There are 3 different views people tend to take on that. Excuse me, that you can check out as well. Paul says, well, when maintaining relationship with those around us that are actively living a gay life, how do we ride that line between caring of their relationships without being supportive of them? Well, I think there's even a finer distinction here between approval and support. You can still support them as human beings. Father Thomas Hopko had a book called Same-Sex Attraction, and in it he's like, look, it's fine for civil rights. Civil rights for same-sex couples is not an issue. What we are talking about in the Orthodox Church is something different than civil rights. So we can support them as individuals and as being, human beings created in the image of God. But I think there's a distinction between support and approval. And I think that distinction gets lost a lot. It gets lost a lot. All right. Burrito's gone. Apologize for that. But here's the other thing. People that are outside of the Orthodox Church, we have no... how do I put this? People outside the Orthodox Church don't believe what the Church says. So there is no reason for them to believe that what we would say about any given issue or any modern issue and take it as any authoritative voice. We have to be hard on the people in the church. When I say it being hard on the people in the church, I don't mean like a monolithic hardness and kind of, there has to be consideration for disposition. But when I mean being hard on people in the church, I'm talking about people that, you know what, let me back up. Just forget I said that. I don't really want to go there. We're in the church, and people that are not in the church, we can't judge based on like they know what the truth that the church proclaims is, or that they will abide by the moral law, or any of these things. So you can be supportive of anyone and not necessarily approve of the way that they're living. I mean, look at the father of the prodigal son. The father knew the son was going to spoil his spoils, so to say, and he gave them to him anyway, because ultimately human beings have free choice. He was supportive of his son and continued to be supportive of his son all the way up until the point that he returned. And then he threw him a big party because he returned. He didn't argue with him about the morality of what he was doing. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. And he just supported him. And that ultimately is what comes through. Hello, Christos. He asks, I keep committing the same sin over and over again. Any advice? This is not a new phenomena for anyone. We have areas where we struggle. That's the reality. Depending on what it is, if you can create obstacles for yourself from committing that sin, obstacles that are more difficult to get over, utilize that. Utilize those obstacles that you can put in your way. Like an obstacle to eating junk food all the time is working out. Why is it an obstacle? It's because when you start exercising, You start not wanting to eat junk food as much. Use porn filters. Have a buddy or, a men's group that you can be open with. These are obstacles you can put in your way to help you down that road of not committing the same sin over and over and over again. But if you ask any priest, people confess the same things. This is just the reality. People confess the same things. Maybe not the same particular incidents, but the same things. Exactly, Paul. 100%. I would agree with you there. If you do want to support the channel, sorry, here's my little ad break. Hit the join button. It's $2 a month on YouTube. Or go to Patreon, which is linked in the description. Become a patron. That's all I've got to say about that. Really, I'm just here to offer any kind of answers to pressing questions you may have. Because sometimes it's not easy to find someone to be open to questions. And I can't say that my answers are going to be the best or most amazing, but we do what we can. Was I irreligious or atheist at some point? Yes. Well, I grew up in a non-denominational household. By the time I was 16, I was completely bored with Christianity, thought it was really dumb and philosophically uninteresting. This is just because I had only known pop Christianity. Fast forward, and I'm way into philosophy. I go through the history of philosophy and read a ton, and basically come to the conclusion that I'm a functional agnostic. It wasn't until, again, fast forwarding many years, I get married, it wasn't until my wife got pregnant that I realized I needed to figure out what was true. That led me to a study of the historical church. I'm leaving out my studies of Hinduism and such, which was a small part as well. And looking at the historical church, it became very clear fairly early on that I had a choice between Roman Catholicism and Orthodoxy. And why Orthodoxy over Roman Catholicism? It's as simple as I had a connection with an Orthodox priest and I didn't know any Roman Catholic priests. That's the nuts and bolts of it. Oh yeah, Paul, 100%. I feel that. So I have about 5, 6, 7 more minutes. If you want to join, you can hit that join button. You have a cool badge next to your name. If you want to follow my alternate account where I'll be posting some of the more edgy interviews that I do with detransitioners, trans people, this sort of thing, you can follow Wholesome Henry. Henry spelled with an I, Wholesome Henry. That's my alternate YouTube account that I'm also building up slowly but surely. Guess my hand is in front of my mouth again. Sorry. Oh, I understand, Zach. I get you. What's some advice for seeing Christ as all in all, or everywhere in life? It's a process of, there's a process of focus. You see what you aim at, is the way someone like Jordan Peterson says this. And this is based in scientific research. What your goals are, what you aim at, is literally the path that you see, or what you see in life. So if you're aiming at trying to figure out when the world is going to end, you're going to see it everywhere. We see this all the time, even in modern Orthodoxy, and it's a shame, because it's essentially a distraction from what we need to be doing, which is aiming at Christ. And so the more you aim at Christ, the more you will see of him in your daily life. It's like that prayer, the morning prayer by Metropolitan Filaret. I always have a hard time with that name. He says, "Teach me to treat all that comes to me throughout the day with the firm conviction that your will governs all. And all my thoughts, words, and deeds essentially guide me through the day." And that's a beautiful prayer, because it's recognizing that Christ, God, everywhere present. It's easy to get wrapped up, so don't be too hard on yourself. Pack asks the question, what are your opinions on watching graphic shows like Game of Thrones? Is it inherently wrong? You're going to have a variety of opinions on this throughout Christendom and even in Orthodoxy. Some will say, yes, it is inherently wrong. Some will say, maybe not, maybe be careful though. And some people will say, no, there's nothing wrong with it. For me, I try to look at it through I don't even need to give you my opinion. I can just say, you're going to have, I guess you asked for my opinion. I like to see it in the middle way. Maybe not. It depends on it's hard to say. Any thoughts or opinions on the Pope Benedict's death? I've kept his soul in my prayers. I don't have any thoughts or opinions on that. I didn't really know too much about what he did or didn't do. I've seen a lot about it online, a lot even from Orthodox priests that probably shouldn't be saying what they're saying. I think it's disrespectful and probably not even true. But no, I don't have any personal thoughts on that. Happy New Year to you as well. Have you heard about the government crackdown of the Ukrainian regime on the canonical UOC? I don't know very much about it, and so I don't have very many thoughts about it. Any advice for when the spouse isn't sold on Orthodoxy and how to maintain your own progress without making them feel pressured or left out? There are a few aspects to that question. Your wife is not sold on Orthodoxy, not convinced of it. For one, that can lead to anxiety for the person that is. concern. Don't have anxiety. Don't be concerned. It's a trap. You don't have to sell anything to her. Thinking that you do is also a trap. Maintaining your own progress, this is where it gets difficult, because on the one hand, we like to look at the strict way and say, oh yeah, man, I'm going to do the fasting. I'm going to be really strident about the prayers and the fasting and this and that. And then we begin to slip, not recognizing where our true progress lies. And our true progress lies in our relationships and in that patience that you said seems to be working. Because we can delude ourselves and think that we're spiritual people praying an hour every time we stand at the icon corner, morning and night. And delude ourselves thinking, oh, we've kept the fast, this is great, I'm feeling some sort of spiritual ecstasy. When in actuality, all we have done is fed our own ego. And the spiritual ecstasy, in quotation marks, is essentially an ecstasy from the ego. The kind of ecstasy you get when you feel like you've achieved something over and against, maybe even other individuals that aren't achieving as much as you. Don't lose, I guess, my thoughts on the matter. Ask your priest, but don't lose sight of where real progress is. And as a father and as a husband, your real progress in the spiritual life is going to be taking care of your family and doing so without complaining. It is going to be shouldering the cross of your family. I don't mean to say that your family is a cross. What I'm saying is, as the husband and the father, you are the pillar against which everyone else leans when their crosses get too heavy. And that then becomes a part of your cross. That's where your progress is. How to have your family okay. Family has decided I am going through religious psychosis because of my interests in Orthodoxy, which is brainwashing my kids too. Well, religious psychosis exists. It does. Are you saying that your kids are being brainwashed by your family to think that you're going through psychosis, or they think you are brainwashing your children with Orthodoxy? Family's hard. Family can be very difficult in these situations. And it's dangerous because when people treat you like you're going through psychosis, actual manifestations of psychosis can take place. So I would say just be careful. Keep your head down. Do what you need to do. I would not really discuss it if I can, but I don't really know. I don't really know. I would ask your priest. Sometimes families need to take a break from communicating. Families, meaning extended families, because you are... Hello, Sarah. Thanks for being a member. Thank you for being here. Sarah's a member. She has that badge next to her name. Boundaries. I don't know. Other than that, my time's getting short here. I'm almost at the half-hour mark. Gotta run back inside, work for another 4 hours, and then go home. So if you have any parting thoughts or questions, be on the lookout for clips from this as well. They'll be posted as shorts. Again, if you want to follow the alternate channel, it's Wholesome Henry with an I. More modern issues and cultural things on there. Thank you for joining. If you do want to join the YouTube as a member, just hit the join button. Let's look at this last comment here, last few comments. I live in France. I work near a parish under the jurisdiction of the Ecumenical Patriarch of Constantinople. I really want to attend liturgy, but I feel ashamed of what I've done in my life. See, this is an important question, and we won't run away just now, or an important thought. There are two kinds of shame. One that leads to life, and one that leads to death. The one that leads to death will tell you you're not welcome. Don't attend liturgy. If you're already Orthodox, don't approach the chalice. You should be ashamed of what you did. This is not God. This is not God. This is not the Spirit of God. The shame that leads to life is the shame that you bear in confession. And when we talk about bearing shame in confession, we talk about exposing to our Lord even those things that we are ashamed to have done. And yet in this exposure, a transformation begins to happen of the person. And that shame is turned into a life-giving force. And it can springboard you into eternity, as Elder Zacharias likes to say. So if your shame is keeping you away from things, number one, it's important, and it's really good that you named it, that you recognize that it's shame. If it's keeping you away from God, it's not of God. If it is pushing you towards Him because you recognize that without Him you're helpless, then go on. But you don't need to be ashamed even when you speak to the priest. I guarantee you they have heard everything and more. The priest should be the least shockable person in the world. And so we'll keep you in our prayers as well, and hope that as you live in France, and I would love to come to France to do a video in France at some point if we can get this channel sustainable. That would be good. Shouldn't a seed of doubt that you haven't been doing right and haven't been to confession keep you away from the chalice? I guess it depends. But a lot of times it's the evil one that wants to keep us away, as long as we're active in trying to sort things out when we are able to go to confession. Any recommendations for reading Barebone Basics Intro to Orthodoxy that isn't bogged down with heady theology? Look at all of Frederica Matthewes-Green's books. Those are really nice introductory pieces. But I do have to go now. Kara, Paul, I'm gonna Catanzaro. I can't pronounce your name. Gaetan. Thanks for joining. If you want to join and help move towards sustainability, hit the join button below. I will talk to you guys later.